I went camping a few months ago. Just me, the woods, and my camera. I needed to recharge my creativity. It felt like the perfect escape. I found a quiet lake in Colorado, surrounded by tall pines and mountains. I set up my tent as the sun was setting. It was peaceful, or so I thought. That first night, I sat by the campfire. I had the usual sounds of nature, crackling fire, chirping crickets. But then I heard laughter. It echoed through the trees. I figured it was other campers. When I looked around, I saw no one. The laughter faded and silence returned. I felt a chill go down my spine. It wasn't just the cold. The next few nights were strange. I kept seeing shadows moving. They darted between the trees, but when I turned my head, there was nothing. I was starting to feel paranoid. One night, I heard whispers. They circled my campsite like they were playing a game. I leaned in closer, trying to catch words, but all I heard was mumbling. My heart raced. Was I losing my mind? I made sure to record it all, hoping to figure it out later. After a few days, exhaustion hit me. I couldn't sleep. I felt tired and uneasy. It was like something was in the air, watching. One evening, while I was by the fire, I caught a glimpse of a figure near the edge of my sight. It was dark, just outside the firelight. I felt cold sweat on my back. I squinted, and it disappeared. I wanted to pack up and leave right then, but I didn't. I figured I'd stayed this long, I could handle it. On my last night, I was lying in my tent. I heard that laughter again. It was clearer, closer. My heart pounded. I held my breath, waiting. And then, silence. I unzipped my tent, peering outside. Nothing but darkness greeted me. Then I heard a voice. It sent chills down my spine. "Why are you here?" I froze. I looked around, but I couldn't see anyone. "Why are you with her?" The words echoed in my mind. I stood there, terrified. I called out, my voice shaking, "Is anyone there?" No answer came. I turned around, expecting someone behind me, but only the trees stood tall and silent. I was alone. At least, that's what I thought. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was just the forest playing tricks. But I couldn't shake off the laughter, the whispers, and the shadows. They haunted me. I packed up early the next morning, eager to leave that place behind. I still think about it sometimes. What was out there? I don't know what haunted me during those nights. I just know I never went back to that campground. Something didn't want me there, and I was too scared to find out what. I didn't think about that camping trip for weeks. I just tried to get back to my routine. But the nagging sense of dread lingered. It was only when I returned to my photography class that the memories came rushing back to me. One day, after class, I was chatting with an old friend, Jenna. She mentioned she had gone to Colorado too, not far from the lake where I camped. I felt a twist in my stomach. "What part?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "A little camp near Pine Lake," she said. My heart dropped. I knew that campground was close to where I had stayed. I forced a smile and asked her about it. Jenna's eyes sparkled as she recounted stories of clear skies and friendly hikers. But then her expression shifted. There was a weird vibe, though. We kept hearing strange sounds at night. Me and Eric, my boyfriend, we thought it was just animals. She hesitated, looking away. But then one night, I heard laughter. My breath caught. I felt chills again, just like by the fire. "Laughter?" I repeated, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, it was right outside our tent," she continued. "I thought it was Eric messing with me, but he was asleep. I thought I saw a shadow moving too." She paused, her brow furrowed. I kept thinking it was my imagination, but it felt so real. I felt a surge of panic. "How many nights were you there?" "Just 3. We left a day early. Something just felt off, you know?" She went on to explain how they felt watched, like they were intruding on something. I couldn't shake the feeling that Jenna and I were connected somehow. Maybe I hadn't imagined everything. Maybe I wasn't alone. After our conversation, I wanted to know more. That night, I dug into the internet and searched for stories about that campground. What I found made my skin crawl. There were multiple accounts of people experiencing odd phenomena in that area. Shadows, whispers, and the most common, laughter, echoing through the trees. There was even a local lore about a figure appearing to campers, asking them questions, as if deciding their fates. I felt the need to return. Maybe I could catch more than just snippets of sound this time. I grabbed my camera and made a plan to go back, but fear gripped me tight. A part of me screamed to forget it and move on, but curiosity pushed me to dive deeper. A week later, I found myself driving back to Colorado, heart pounding, hands sweating on the steering wheel. I knew I shouldn't be going back, certainly not alone, but something pulled at me. I parked at the very spot where I had camped before, the trees looming like dark sentinels. That night, as darkness crept in and shadows danced around me, I began to wonder if I had made a mistake. Then I heard it, the laughter again, this time sharper, more distinct. Anxiety tightened in my chest. It wasn't just in my head. I grabbed my camera and stepped outside my tent. "Hello?" I called out, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. Silence followed, thick and oppressive. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, a figure at the edge of the trees, just before the shadows swallowed it whole. I stepped closer, heart racing. That's when I saw it. The figure stood motionless, cloaked in darkness. I squinted, desperate to make sense of it. A trick of the light? A tree? But the shape was too distinct. It seemed almost human, but something felt deeply wrong.
I took a shaky breath and raised my camera, hoping to capture this strange apparition. The hairs on my neck prickled as I pressed the shutter. The flash illuminated the area for a brief second, casting shadows and revealing nothing more than empty space. The figure was gone. Heart racing, I felt a mix of disappointment and terror. I took a step back, scanning the trees, wishing I hadn't. The laughter returned, ringing out like mocking chimes. Every nerve in my body screamed for me to turn and run, but I was paralyzed by fear. It was louder now, and I could almost feel it reverberating through my bones. I forced myself to breathe, to think clearly. What was happening? I set the camera on my hip and called into the dark again. "Who's there?" My voice felt small against the backdrop of nature, swallowed almost immediately by the night. The laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by an eerie stillness. Then I heard it, a whisper, faint and almost melodic, drifting through the trees. "Stay, stay." My heart leaped. I couldn't make out the rest, but those two words hung in the air like a command. The urge to flee clawed at me, but curiosity drove my feet forward. I stepped beneath the trees, following the direction of the whisper. My heart thudded loudly in my ears, drowning out the sounds of the woods. Each step felt like a leap into deeper darkness, yet I moved closer, peering into the dim shadows. Suddenly, something rustled nearby. I turned quickly, swinging the camera around. It was just a branch swaying in the wind. I could feel my breaths becoming shallow. What had I even hoped to find out here? Was I really looking for answers, or had I come seeking something else entirely? Breaking through the trees, I found an opening, a small clearing. The moonlight bathed the ground in silver. And right there in the center stood a figure again, clearer now. It wore an old-fashioned outfit, almost like a costume, but it felt too real. It was grinning, eyes glinting with an unsettling light. I froze, instinctively raising my camera, but my hands trembled too much to steady the lens. "What do you want?" I shouted, anger mixing with fear. That grin widened, and the figure tilted its head as if considering my question. "To know you," it said slowly, almost sing-song. "What would you like to share?" A chill shot through me. This was no ordinary encounter. The way it spoke made my stomach twist with unease. Suddenly, the laughter echoed again, this time even closer, circling me like a predator. I instinctively took a step back. Then, everything went dark. I stumbled, disoriented, as the world around me faded to black. Panic gripped my chest. My heart raced, and a suffocating silence enveloped me. For a moment, I felt completely weightless, as if I had been pulled into another realm. And then, just as quickly, my surroundings shifted back into focus. I was no longer in the clearing. I stood at the edge of a dense thicket, branches clawing at my clothes. It felt like I had blinked and lost time. I looked around, my breath coming in sharp gasps. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. Acutely aware of the darkness closing in around me, I turned back toward the clearing. The figure was gone. Just my heartbeat echoed in the stillness. A chill crept down my spine. Had I imagined it all? But the laughter, how could I forget that haunting sound? I rummaged through my pockets for my flashlight, the beam cutting through the dark like a knife. It flickered to life, illuminating the twisted trees and the underbrush. I paced in circles, trying to gauge where I was. My mind raced with questions. Had I really been spoken to? A part of me wanted to brush it off as a figment of stress or exhaustion. But deep down, dread settled in. Something more sinister lingered. As I made my way through the thicket, I noticed something unusual on the ground. Near a rock, half hidden beneath leaves, lay an old pocket watch. I crouched down and picked it up, brushing off dirt. The metal was cold, and intricate engravings adorned its surface. It was broken, the glass cracked. What was this doing out here? Suddenly, the air shifted. I could feel the tension rising. My instincts screamed at me to flee. But I hesitated, heart thrumming in a disjointed rhythm. Something compelled me to stay, to keep searching for answers. That's when I heard it. A faint sound echoed through the trees. A child's laughter, bright yet unnerving. It pierced the silence and sent a jolt through me. The laughter seemed to drift toward me, leading me back deeper into the wood. Just like before, I followed the sound, heart pounding as I pressed on, clenching the watch tightly in my hand. With every step, the laughter faded and became softer, like a hidden whisper. I emerged into an even larger clearing, where the moonlight pooled on the ground. The trees spread wide, creating an unnatural sky of shifting shadows above. My breath quickened. I could see movement in the distance, figures just at the edge of the moon's reach. I squinted. Were they human? They faded in and out of sight, like a dream on the verge of slipping away. "Come play with us," one of the figures called, their voice sweet, yet slightly twisted. Something inside me twisted painfully. This was not right at all. I took a step backward, instinctively clutching the watch as if it could shield me from whatever lay ahead. The figures began to move closer. Hope mingled with fear. I didn't have much time. I needed to figure out what was happening before it was too late. I took a step back, my pulse hammering. The figures were shifting shadows, circling slowly as they glided toward me. "Don't be scared," the sweet voice called again. "We just want to play." A chill raced through me, freezing my feet to the ground.
My instincts screamed for me to run, but I remained rooted, watching their impossibly smooth movements. They seemed both childlike and otherworldly. "Come closer!"
Another voice chimed in, giggling. The laughter echoed, intertwining with the forest sounds. It felt alive, wrapping around me like a vine. I felt sick, the unease churning in my stomach. I held the pocket watch tighter, and just then I noticed something more. Behind the figures, against the flickering shadows, there lay a shape. It looked like a wooden swing set, overgrown with vines and leaves, as if it had been abandoned long ago. "What is this place?" I whispered, more to myself than to the figures. "Magical!" a figure announced, the voice dripping with glee. "You'll never want to leave." With that, they bounded closer. Their smiles were wide, eyes sparkling with mischief. They reached for me, hands outstretched. I instinctively lurched backward, heart racing with panic. They weren't like any children I had ever seen. There was something wrong about their laughter, a sinister undertone swirling beneath the surface. I turned, ready to flee, when I caught movement to my left. A small creature scuttled from behind a tree. A fox, or what looked like one, but its eyes glowed a feral red. It growled softly, watching the figures warily. "Don't go!" one of the figures wailed, the cheer vanishing from their voice. "You'll miss all the fun!" A surge of adrenaline pushed me forward, my mind racing. My only option was to break through, to escape whatever this was. I turned and ran. My feet pounded against the ground before the forest swallowed my screams. Branches clawed at my skin as I darted through the underbrush. I dared not look back, fear fueling my flight. I could hear the laughter behind me, echoing from all directions. "Join us!" it taunted. Suddenly, I tripped, hitting the ground hard. The pocket watch slipped from my fingers, skidding along the dirt. I scrambled to retrieve it, but froze when I heard the soft crunch of footsteps nearby. A figure stood just in my periphery, watching. I felt the air thicken, suffocating. "Please," I shouted, gasping for breath, "just leave me alone." The figure stepped forward, revealing its face. It wasn't a child. It was a haunting visage of a woman, her features twisted with an eerie joy. "You were supposed to play," she said softly, her voice now chillingly melodic. "But now it's time to join us." I scrambled back, heart racing. The shadows danced closer, the laughter crescendoing until it filled every part of my mind. That's when I heard a scream, an echo that felt distant and yet so familiar. "Help!" The cry pierced the air, and my veins turned to ice. I bolted upright, terror flooding my senses. Somehow, I knew it was too late to run. Whatever was happening, whatever was after me, had already begun. I stumbled backward, my heart racing as I caught my breath. The figure lurked closer, a twisted smile spread across her face. I glanced around, searching for an escape, but every direction was shrouded in darkness and more shadows. "Please," I whispered, "I don't want to play." I felt my voice tremble as the words spilled from my lips. Did they even understand me? The woman blinked slowly, her smile never fading. "You're already playing, dear. You just don't know it yet." With that, she gestured toward the swing set behind her. The wooden frame creaked, and suddenly the seats began to sway as if touched by a phantom breeze. My gaze locked on the haunting sight. I felt an inexplicable pull, as if the swing set beckoned me closer. I fought the urge. "No!" I yelled, fully turning away from her and scanning the perimeter for an exit. The laughter echoed again, louder this time, surrounding me like a thick fog. I could feel their presence, closing in, the figures shifting closer. Panic surged through my veins. In a spur of desperation, I bolted left, weaving between gnarled trees. Every instinct screamed for me to keep moving, but I could hear the rustling of leaves and soft whispers of the figures following. "Stay with us," it enticed. "You'll have so much fun." Suddenly, a flash of silver caught my eye. The pocket watch! I dove to the ground, fingers scrambling until they found its cold surface. It felt warm, almost alive in my grip. As I held it tightly, a flicker of clarity surged through my mind. The watch's face glimmered even under the faint light. I could see the hands spinning erratically, almost like they were trying to communicate something urgent. This has to mean something, I thought. I could feel it, a thread of connection, a sense of time that didn't quite belong. Just then, a chilling breeze swept through the trees, pulling my attention back to the figures. They had stopped, silent now, waiting. The smile on the woman's face faded slightly, replaced with an expression of dark expectation. Then everything went still. The laughter faded. I could hear my breath, shallow and frantic, echoing in the background. A deep, unsettling silence enveloped us. "Why have you stopped?" I whispered, my voice barely breaking through the heavy air. Fear crept up my spine as I stared at them. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark. From behind the swing set, a flicker of movement captured my attention. I squinted, narrowing the distance. That's when I saw it. A small child sitting on one of the swings. She looked lost, her eyes wide as she stared back at me. My heart dropped. Was she trapped here, just like me? "Help me," she called, her voice almost drowned by the stillness. "Please." Every part of me screamed to run, but I felt that connection to the pocket watch strengthen. I could hear the ticking now, steady yet urgent. Was it guiding me? Did it hold the answers to this twisted game? I took a step forward, but the figures surged at once, their laughter returning with an eerie intensity. "You mustn't," they chorused. "You can't help her." I froze, caught between the looming shadows and a dark plea for help. What was I supposed to do? I thought quickly, my mind racing. I had to make a choice, and fast. The moment stretched, a thick tension hanging between the glowing eyes of the figures and the desperate child on the swing. I could feel my heart thumping in my ears, drowning out their distorted laughter. The pocket watch felt like a heartbeat in my hands, pulsing with urgency. Why can't I help her? I wanted to scream, but the words turned to ash in my throat. Their insistence echoed in my mind, twisting my thoughts. They were telling me I had to choose, but choose what? The fear surged. What if I pushed forward and it went all wrong? The child's eyes widened, and for a brief moment, everything fell silent. I picked up on something new. The air felt heavier, tinged with a sense of desperation. I could feel the energy shift. The figures were still watching, but their agitation grew, a hunger in their gaze that felt almost palpable. With trembling hands, I raised the pocket watch, the face glimmering brightly as I focused. "What do you want from me?" I whispered, feeling the weight of their expectations, their game looming over me. "Time is of the essence," something hissed from the shadows. The voice was clear now, slicing through the stillness like a knife. "Choose wisely, child." I thought of the girl. She was just a child, her innocence stark against the darkness surrounding us. I took a deep breath, stepping toward her. "I'm coming," I shouted, voice stronger than before. "I won't leave you." But the moment I moved, the figures reacted, darting closer. "No!" they cried, their tone shifting from playful to furious. "You must not approach." Intimidated, I hesitated. Could I risk it all for a child I never knew?
My heart raced, torn between the swirling shadows and that small plea for help. Instinctively, I opened the pocket watch, the cold wind howling around us. A bright light engulfed my view, and suddenly I was standing in a different place. The swing set was gone, replaced by trees that towered above me like guardians. I looked around, confusion engulfing me. "What just happened?" I mumbled, hoping for answers in the unfamiliar landscape. I was still trapped in some sort of twisted game, but now I was alone with the pocket watch. Then I heard the child's voice again, faint but clear. "Help! The darkness! It's coming!" My pulse quickened as I turned in the direction of the sound. I had no idea how I had ended up here, but I had to find her. I took a step into the shadowy forest, determined to solve this mystery, the threat of the unknown looming ever closer. That's when I noticed it, a flicker of movement behind a thicket. I barely caught a glimpse of something pale moving swiftly away. My breath hitched in my throat. I wasn't alone. A new urgency coursed through me. I couldn't let fear hold me back. I had to follow. Whoever or whatever was out there might know more about this darkness and how to rescue the child. With one deep inhale, I plunged into the trees, heart pounding, unsure of what awaited me.
I pushed deeper into the woods, each step heavy with uncertainty. The air was thick with a musty smell, and sharp branches clawed at my clothes. I kept my eyes peeled for that fleeting glimpse I had seen, but it felt like the forest was swallowing all sound. The child's voice echoed in my mind, urging me on. I rounded a bend and froze. There, peeking from behind a large tree, was a figure. It was small, no taller than the child on the swing. My heart raced. "Hey, I see you!" I called out, hoping to draw it out. The figure flinched, but didn't move. I took a cautious step closer. "Are you the one who called for help?" I asked. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. I felt the weight of eyes on my back, that strange sense of being watched again. "Stay back!" a small voice finally squeaked out, sounding both frightened and stern. It was a girl, her face pale and smudged with dirt. I could see her wide eyes darting around, scanning the trees as if expecting something to pounce. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even though fear snaked around my spine. "I'm not safe. The darkness is coming," she cried, glancing over her shoulder. There was a raw urgency in her tone, a pleading that pierced through my confusion. "Is there a way out of here?" I urged, my breath quickening. "I need to help." "No, we can't leave," she interrupted, her voice rising with panic. "It follows." Before I could ask what she meant, I heard something shuffling in the underbrush behind her. My stomach dropped. I wanted to pull her close, to protect both of us. "Run!" I shouted, adrenaline surging through me. I didn't know what was chasing us, but the dread was palpable. Without thinking, I lunged forward and grabbed her wrist, dragging her with me deeper into the forest. The sounds of the shadows grew louder, footsteps, heavy, relentless. As we dashed through the trees, I caught flashes of movement, dark shapes slipping between the trunks like smoke. My heart felt like it could burst. "There!" the girl shouted suddenly, pointing to a narrow path cutting through the trees. I hesitated, glancing back, but the shapes were gaining on us. I had to make a choice. "Quick!" I urged, and we veered onto the path. The branches scraped at our arms, and I could hear my ragged breath drowning out everything else. With each turn, the voices returned, whispers winding through the air. "You should have stayed away," they taunted, echoes bouncing off the bark and branches. I risked a look back, and there they were, shadows that seemed to stretch and swirl, their glowing eyes gleaming like distant stars, hungry and relentless. I turned back just as we burst into a clearing. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were remnants of an old campsite, broken tents, scattered toys, even a rusted swing set.
It felt like a twisted reflection of the playground I had just come from. "Why did you bring me here?"
I whispered to the girl, panic rising in my throat. I thought you could help," she stammered, but before I could respond, the shadows slowed, coiling at the edge of the clearing. That's when I saw it, threatening and familiar, the swing set we had left behind. "This isn't real," I shouted, looking around desperately for a way out. A chilling laugh echoed through the clearing. "You chose to follow her. Now your fate is intertwined." My mind raced. I had to break this cycle, to find a way out of this madness before it captured us both. I gripped the pocket watch tightly, feeling its cold metal against my palm. But as I looked back at the shadows, fear twisted in my gut. "What do I do?" I breathed, facing what felt like an insurmountable choice. Then everything went dark. I gasped as the darkness swallowed me whole, an unseen force pulling me down. My heart raced as I struggled to breathe. Just as suddenly, I found myself back in the clearing, but it was different, hazy and flickering, like a broken projector struggling to play a film. I blinked, disoriented. The girl was still beside me, her expression a mix of fear and curiosity. "You can't be here," she muttered, glancing around nervously. "You're not supposed to come back." "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. "What's happening? I need to keep you safe." "The darkness can take different forms," she whispered, "and it knows you now. You should have left when you had the chance." My grip tightened around the pocket watch, sensing the weight of something significant about it. "I have to figure this out. I can't just let it take you." I looked around, searching for any clue to escape this nightmare. Suddenly, an icy breeze whipped through the trees, rustling the branches. That laughter returned, colder this time, reverberating around us. "You think you can save her?" it taunted. "You're already part of the story, just like all the others." I shot a glance back at the shadows that were circling the clearing, growing bolder, creeping closer. "No!" I shouted defiantly. "I won't let you take her." But the girl gripped my arm. "You don't understand. If you fight it, things will get worse." Her wide eyes shone with desperation, reflecting the fear I felt. What kind of force were we up against? In the shadows, vague figures began to take shape. Faces emerged, some familiar, distorted by anguish. Other campers? Lost souls? They reached toward us, whispering incoherent phrases. "What are they saying?" I stammered, stepping back. "They're warning you," she said, her voice low. "They tried to fight it too, but—" She stopped, tears brimming in her eyes. My mind raced as I looked at the figures around us. "What do you want from us?" I shouted into the chaos. "Your memories," they hissed in unison, voices blending together like a twisted chant. "Join us." "Join you?" I echoed, horrified. "No way!" I pulled the girl toward the edge of the clearing. "We need to find a way to break this." The darkness retaliated, the shadows twisting and writhing, compressing in on us like an escapable fog. Panic surged through me. "Run!" I screamed, but the ground beneath us shuddered, roots snaking up to grasp our legs. The girl looked at me, her eyes wide. "We have to find the center. It's connected to the swings." With a surge of determination, I nodded. "Let's go." We sprinted toward that rusted swing set, the shadows clawing behind us, relentless and ravenous. The laughter grew louder, but I focused on the swings. If she was right, there was something there, something I needed to uncover. "I can't hold on much longer," she cried, her breath hitching. I pushed her forward, adrenaline coursing through me. "Just a little further." But as we reached the swing set, the ground beneath us erupted, a torrent of darkness spilling forth, trying to pull us down. I gripped the watch tightly, feeling its cold surface pulse in my palm. "If we're going to do this, now's the time!" I yelled, and together we launched ourselves toward the swings, hoping against hope that the connection would make all the difference. Then everything went dark again, but this time it felt different. An echo of laughter faded, leaving behind a haunting silence that chilled me to the bone. I gasped as light flooded back into my vision, the disorienting shadows fading away. I stumbled, suddenly back at the edge of the original campsite, the fire flickering quietly behind me. The trees stood tall and still, unbothered. It felt eerily peaceful, as if the chaos had never existed. I looked around, breathless. Had I escaped? I checked myself for any signs of distress, but I felt strangely whole. The pocket watch lay in my palm, cool and heavy, the hands still ticking. I couldn't shake the terror from my mind, but there was no sign of the dark figures or the anguished laughter. It was as though they'd never been there at all. A flicker of movement caught my eye, and I turned toward the trees. I half expected to see the girl or a shadow slipping away, but instead, everything was just as it had been, unchanged. The forest was a mere backdrop, an ordinary place unmarked by the haunting experiences I'd just endured. "Hello?" I called out, but my voice echoed softly against the stillness. No answer. I took a cautious step toward the fire, the warmth inviting, but guilt weighed heavily in my heart. Had I really left her behind? My thoughts raced with uncertainty. I could still hear her voice echoing in my mind, pleading for help. The weight of the pocket watch reminded me of everything I'd experienced, and I pressed my fingers against its surface, feeling its delicate engravings beneath my touch. What had I stumbled into? The tales of laughter, whispers, and shadows are now ingrained in my memory, and I struggled with the feeling that not everything had been resolved. My head spun with questions. Was the girl free? Had I truly escaped whatever danger lingered in those woods? Or was this just another layer of the trap, a gateway into an even deeper cycle of horrors? The thought chilled me. Maybe the darkness was never fully defeated. Maybe it lay dormant, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to draw near. I stood at the edge of the woods, gazing into the depths of the trees where shadows danced in the corners of my vision. Who had I become on that journey, and what had I really learned? I took one last look back at the campsite, the crackling fire flickering gold against the night. It felt like a farewell, but also, in some way, an invitation back. I knew I should leave, but a part of me felt tied to the place. I couldn't shake the feeling that someday I might be pulled back toward the darkness. Maybe I would return with more questions, seeking answers that still eluded me. I turned, walking away from the trees and the lingering echoes, but as I stepped back towards the road, I glanced at the pocket watch one final time. Just for a moment, its hands spun wildly, then returned to normal, and I could swear I heard the faintest giggle bounce through the air, a reminder that escape might not always mean freedom. And maybe, just maybe, that darkness was still waiting, biding its time. I stepped away, a shudder running down my spine, uncertain of what lay hidden in the shadows behind me. As I drove away, the woods faded into the distance, but questions still loomed like silhouettes against the soft horizon. Would I ever know what truly haunted those trees? The truth remained as elusive as the laughter that once filled the night.